Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya, Yashoda.
Welcome, dear Sumangala. Thank you for taking the time to be with us and to share your experiences and your knowledge and wisdom about meditation. You are a yoga teacher at Yoga Vidya, and can you share like one or two sentences a little bit more about you?
Oh, well, I moved to Yoga Vidya in 2019 in the month of October, and then I did my yoga teacher training. So officially, I'm a yoga teacher at Yoga Vidya, which is Europe's largest yoga house or yoga institute. It's also not only a training center, but it's also a yoga community where we live and work
Together with yogis.
Yes.
Yes. So since we're doing the interview for the Center of Excellence for Meditation, the question is quite obvious. What was your path to meditation? How did you start to meditation, or how did meditation come into your life?
I was born in India and I grew up in India, so I'm kind of, and I was familiar with the culture of meditation and yoga. But when I was, a teenager, it wasn't the kind of practice that is so popular today and widespread. And you couldn't earn a living from yoga at that time. And although I was interested and did yoga for myself, I wasn't too much into it because it was all about earning a living and studying further and so on. But over the years, slowly, because of circumstances in life and the way things moved, I naturally moved into the practice of meditation, and I tried different things. But somehow it didn't work because of the challenges in my own personal life. Although I would practice yogasanas, I wasn't so much into meditation until I lost my mother and a living guru came into my life simultaneously. And everything kind of fell into place. And I suppose from my experience, I can say that for the real practice of meditation, we believe we need a guru. And in my life, that was very true. And they also say in India, a guru comes into your life when you're ready for it. And I really understood the true meaning of that particular sentence when it happened in my own life, which I would say was rather late. I mean, I didn't start at 20, you see.
Relatively. You mentioned your mother. Allow me the question, was yoga, and since you're of Indian heritage, was yoga and meditation, was this something which was practiced by your parents or in your household where you grew up?
Not really. I would like to add that in India, people have different kinds of practices, and most of them are into the practice of bhakti yoga, which is, more into rituals. So that's what they did, basically. Yeah, all the pujas and, things like that.
And when the guru came into your life, did the practice take off and remained consistent, or like how did it start? Like how did your practice start, and what does your practice look like today?
No, I've been practicing since then continuously, and at that time I thought I was very surrendered because for us the word surrender comes rather easily, and unlike in Germany, it's understood differently in India. So it's about giving yourself to a higher power who comes to you, or the power comes to you in the form of a guru. So I would say that when I started, I felt I was really totally surrendered. But now, I realize how even this element of surrender, or what we call surrender, how deep it can get, or how much more it is than it was before. You think you're fully surrendered, but then there's something that very little that holds you back, and then so that's one thing I have experienced personally, and of course the depth of meditation, which is more than before, but I think there's a long way to go still.
Would you say the depth of meditation is in direct relation to your level of surrender?
Uh, it's a yes and no question, I guess. Yeah, yeah. You could put it that way because I think one leads to the other, and the other leads
Mhm,
to
mm,
this one. So yeah.
mm, mm, mm. It's, yeah, it can
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah,
interdependent.
when I say surrender, I mean sometimes like things like you take so many things, into your own hands, and I suppose I've learned to let go, and things do resolve by themselves. It's only a question of time. We've got used to getting everything done instantly, like instant coffee. We want instant results, and it doesn't work that way.
Mm. And when you say when the guru came into your life, your practice was consistent, that really means like that you had a daily meditation practice?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What?
A daily meditation practice several times a day, and it continues to be so.
Oh, wow, interesting. Several times a day. I'm super curious now. What does your meditation practice today look like?
It's been the same like it was before, because in this practice we need to meditate basically twice a day for half an hour with a particular mantra. But I do it a little longer whenever I have time, and just to be connected all the time and to remind myself of what exactly is important. And I should say that at this stage it comes, it's kind of coming naturally. I mean, I don't have to say, oh, now I have to do it. It kind of is a natural process.
Mm-hmm. And when you say several times a day, that describes 2 times, like no more than 2 times.
No, in the practice, it's important to do it 2 times, but I do sometimes 5 times. So that's what I meant when I said several times a
I
day.
think that's what sparked my interest. So 5 times, how do you
Yeah, but
spread?
I wouldn't say I can do it every day because it depends on what we have to do at Yoga Vidya. I'm a sevaka here and I have a tight schedule as well. So it depends, but I try to fit it in. And 5 times does not necessarily mean that long interval. Sometimes I do it at a stretch for a longer time in the evenings and at a stretch for a
Yeah,
longer time in the
yeah,
morning.
yeah. That's clear to me.
Yeah.
But
Before Yoga Vidya, I would do it like, morning a couple of times, afternoon a couple of times, and evening and late, and in the night before going to bed a couple of times.
makes 4 times. There's 1/5 time missing. Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to, quantify it because that's not really so important. It's just to be in that state as often as you can during the day.
mm. Yeah, I mean to make it happen, or I know it from Muslim friends who pray 5 times, and it's also in the night, and it's set on a schedule so that you really get to it, because it's often the first thing which falls off the wagon once stress comes along. So the structure is a little bit helpful to at least not forget it. I think it's super effective, or like has a very strong power if you do it several times a day. Would you agree, or like what's your
Well,
experience?
the master himself says it's not necessary to do it several times a day. It's enough to do it 2 times. He compares the situation to charging your mobile phone. He says if it's already charged, you don't have to charge it anymore. So according to him, just twice a day, half an hour is more than enough. But I just do it because you come to a state where you begin to like it, and it just becomes natural. It becomes a way of life. So it's not something that I want to do for the sake of for achieving some result or something. It feels natural.
I think there's an inner knowing in one's own self who experiences the effects of meditation, and that translates into more access and more being prone to doing it more often without sort of registering like the direct results. But this is the inner vibe. And I'm not a guru, but in my life it's not like a mobile phone battery, because that can be charged 100%. And as you see, I'm very interested in your several times a day practices. The level of depth, energy, however you want to describe it, connectedness, at least in my humble little world, is infinite. So there's reaching a state of being fully charged, like it's relative.
Well, that's what the master said. I just quoted him. He gave the example because he said you don't have to stress yourself out. And I suppose that is because the master is there by your side and he's regulating it for you. That makes a difference, you know. So that's what he said. You don't have to, you know, sit for hours, you know, because it's a system and it's, you know, kind of a direct transfer of energy through the mantra, and so that's what he meant.
So when you sit down, may I ask you, like, what does your practice like look like? You do mantra meditation. That's what I pick.
We've been given a mantra by the master during the initiation, and we just say that mantra, and then we focus on the Sahasrara chakra, and we just meditate in silence. We, you know, basically, it's like what Swami Shivananda also said in the past. It's rather similar.
And is it like from the outside? Is it on a fixed spot? Do you have a special place, or is it anywhere? Is it at the same time? Do you have a routine in there, or whenever you get up, or like how?
Yeah, all traditions do prescribe a kind of routine, and it's good to stick to it because then you create that energy around you, time and place, and you try to follow it to the extent you can.
And is it at a certain time? Like,
but it's not a must. I mean, like, then you meditate when you can, you know. Sometimes it's not always possible to meditate at 4 or 5 or whatever. So you meditate when your body is also ready for it. Yeah. So that way, in our tradition, we are a little free.
yeah, of course, we are no machines which are running exactly the same day, but like there might be like a main structure. Like I am using Brahma Muhurta time and quite regularly, but I can't. It's not abhyasa, it's not unbroken, but it's something where I feel the effects, and that's why I'm striving for that. So that was rather my question. So, but no, you do it like whenever your body is ready.
Yes, I do it like that, and I stick to the evening meditation because we have online meditation from around the world at different times. So I try to fit my schedule to those as well.
Where you then meditate with other online meditators from
because
your...
in our tradition, it's important to meditate in collectivity to create that collective energy and that, I suppose, the critical mass that goes around or goes along with that. Yeah.
And did you experience this also in the non-digital version, like with others, and now digital?
Yes, I mean before Corona, yes, or in India with the master, and you know with well, thousands of people in India. It's normal to have, you know, like 50,000 to 100,000 people at an event with the master. But in Germany,
live on location. May I ask who you can say no, but may I ask who your master is?
It's Swami Shivakrupananda, or we say Shivakrupananda Swami. Maybe I can just show a picture, can I?
Yeah, sure. Love to.
One moment.
Yes.
So this is the master.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And these are our centers in Germany, actually. I don't know, I think it's this way.
No, it's tilted upward. Yeah, this way, exactly.
Yeah, so we have a following in Germany as well. And the master, whenever he comes to Germany, I mean, this is all before Corona, so we used to meet and have a lot of events and sessions, but that was all before I came to Yoga Vidya, you know. And soon after I came to Yoga Vidya, we had this trouble with Corona, so yeah, that's the way it is. But it doesn't matter because for me, you know, the higher power flows through all the masters, and you can see one master in the other master, and that's okay too.
And how is the difference for you between like real life Sangha event and online being connected online? Does it translate well?
Yeah, in the meantime, it translates quite well, but the real event naturally is, you know, it's very poignant. It's very strong. You know, I would say, in the real event, yeah, the master's energy is really, it's something you can catch. Let me put it like that.
And how does your meditation practice translate into your everyday life? Like, what are the effects you are feeling from your meditation practice?
Well, I would say that, our school system or education system actually kind of conditions us to judge things and to do a lot of those other things that you normally shouldn't be doing. And the meditation practice has taught me not to judge in many ways. We automatically assume things around events, around people, around situations, and we have all these judgments that we make. And I have become very conscious of how I'm judging, and that I'm not to judge, and that every person has his or her own path, and everybody is at a different stage of the journey. And all that we need to do is to understand the person, to understand the event. And for that, I think, from my point of view, you would need to be really, really compassionate. And this is something that I've become very aware of over the years.
And are you actively holding back your judgment, or has your judgment subsided?
I think because of the conditioning, the judgment comes, like for example, let's say people who do not want to wear the masks, like we always have these controversies in any community. Some are for it and some are against it. So you kind of think, oh, but that's so unfair. I mean, they have to look at it from the point of view of a community. We are a community. And if you're a meditator, you should be looking at it like this. This is a judgment in itself or by itself. And then I say, oh no, I mean, maybe, there's another, like Anandamayi said, everybody's right, or as the story goes, I hate to say it because I have eye problems, but 6 visually impaired people tried to describe an elephant, and each was able to explain only one part of it, and everybody was right. So, we have to really be on a higher plane, I suppose, to be able to see the elephant in its entirety, And you really have to be very, very aware and very, very conscious of that. And I guess that awareness comes as you keep on meditating and in the stillness.
That awareness is also, I feel, enabled through a certain heightened level of detachment from the outcome.
Detachment, did you say?
Detachment from the outcome.
Yeah, you tend to be detached because then it shouldn't matter this way or that way,
Exactly. And then it's easier.
Neutral, you kind of become very centered and neutral, and you go beyond all these dynamics of the material world, actually.
And how is this flowing on? Like less judgments, which we all have, with which we all meet each other. And now your judgment is at least not expressed, or maybe even neutralized in your thought processes by really doing, actively thinking thoughts of compassion and taking like the force of it away. Is it translating into your human relationships? Have they become closer, or?
Well, I come from India and we are a very relationship orientated people. So I wouldn't say there's been a difference that way, because I've always had close relationships with people. There's been no change there because of the meditation. On the contrary, I've learned to be detached, actually, because with relationships, there's more of an attachment, So you learn to have a relationship. I mean, relationship in the form of friends or, your colleagues, etc., in a more detached way, if you know what I'm saying. So
and is it then sort of redirecting itself? The less sort of judgment you have, the better you can meditate, because there's less turmoil in the head, less thoughts.
I think well, I would put the question differently. I mean, the judgment is not a criteria to the meditation. What I would say for me is the fact that, you surrender even your judgments to your master or to the higher power. And so when you just give it away, you let go of everything that's happening at the level of the mind, then you're freeing yourself more and more. So it's all about letting go. It's all about surrendering all these processes, intellectual and otherwise, to the higher power, either in the form of, a master or a god or a guru, whatever.
And maybe I worded it wrong. Like, so exactly like the letting go, or surrendering, whatever of judgment is calming your mind, which then enables you to go on another level of meditation. Do you experience this?
Yeah, I would say so, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not judging all the time. I mean, I don't have to, but certain incidents happen. Somebody writes an email in a very odd way, and then you kind of say, how could that person be so rude? Or you can also say, oh, now he's, I mean, like, I'll talk to him about it. And, so these are these little judgments we make. So you just tend to take it easy. You don't get upset by these.
Which by itself strengthens connections.
Sorry?
It's this way of treating it or embracing it strengthens the connection, because it's not two people clashing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I meant before. So do you have, like, when in your meditation practice, did you encounter some experiences which you would be open to share with us, like, which how to say, impressed you?
Yeah, well, all of us do have some experiences when we meditate at different points in time, different phases. Apart from being very calm and not being affected by many things that happen around you, and difficult circumstances as well. Some of the other things are, the early stages, I once experienced, this was just an event after the master had left, and I was just standing there in the plantation where we had the event. And I don't know, this was just for about 30 to 45 seconds, but I could really feel everything was one vibration. My heartbeat and that of the whole universe was one. I mean, I never had that experience again, but I suppose that was a very unique experience. The whole thing was one heartbeat, like, Yeah, so things like this, you have different kinds of experiences in your body. And
yeah, thank you for sharing this, because I think this it's often people don't want to talk about it because they don't want to avoid people striving for it and therefore ruining their own meditations. Yet for me in my own life, that, I don't know, it connected me deeply with meditation, and my, as these experience, they make it so solid, the higher power. It's
yes, because I mean, naturally, when other meditators express their experiences, you kind of think, oh, but you didn't have those, so is something wrong with your way of meditating?
again, the judgment, as you said.
Yeah, but I suppose, like, every experience, it's not one size fits all. Different people have different experiences, and I suppose we're not, we shouldn't even get attached to those experiences. In the end, this happens on the path, but it's not the ultimate, or at least that's what.
But it's an experience of another sphere, which is usually in our daily lives not tangible. It's not part of, at least in the so-called Western civilized countries, it's not part of the culture. It's not included. It's not talked about. It's sort of suppressed through the illusion of science and rationality. And I think if something is like a common ground within a culture, it opens up repressed stuff within us. Like, that's why I'm still loving to ask these questions, even so many don't like it. So from your own meditation practice, for people who are meditators as well as people who are meditating, would you have some tips to share with them? What was helpful for you, or what you would recommend?
Well, I would insist, or I would still recommend what everybody has been insisting upon, and that is consistency and patience. You got to keep at it. You just have to keep at it, and you have to believe in it. I've heard a lot of people here in Germany say it's very difficult for us to believe in that because it's not scientific, but I guess
It is scientific. By now, I tell you, I myself wrote a PhD dissertation. I've seen thousands of the dissertations about the benefits of meditation, and then name any symptom that exists in the world. There is scientific proof. So people saying it's not scientific, I don't know. They live maybe 60.
Yeah, what I mean is they want scientific proof, but you're right, because in the USA and most of the universities, they have these monks under the MRI machines, and they're able to, detect the waves and, and see what's happening in the brain during the meditation, in fact. And you can see those experiments on YouTube directly today. And so that's very nice. And that's convincing for most people. But, people used to say that, and some of them still do, like, so where were we? It becomes important to say that it's an experiential science. I mean, you've got to experience it first. And, maybe we didn't, or we don't have the instruments to measure a lot of things today. In the future, they might just come in. We didn't have talking televisions and artificial intelligence 40 years ago, and nobody would believe that you could talk to.
I mean, from the Yoga Vidya lineage, which is the Shivananda lineage, which is Swami Vishnu Devananda, he himself put himself in the labs with all this stuff because he knew the Western mind needed to be sort of like needed to see evidence, and there's so much proof, like all these dissertations, they did case studies like meditation on divorce, meditation on this, on that, on basically on everything you can have. Like I mean, there is enough evidence, maybe not totally accessible, but I mean everybody can access anything nowadays. So that's sort of not an updated statement, I would say. Like, so consistency, you said?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, consistency. You got to really be consistent. You shouldn't break that that pattern that emerges, and I think that makes a big difference in the way your aura gets transformed, and mind and stuff, and just to go beyond that.
I mean, I'm asking this question every interview partner, and now that you mention it, there came very many great tips and remarks and things experienced meditators know because they went through the training, but probably the consistency is the number one. The rest happens by itself.
Yes, and also that you got to believe in it. I think that's also important. But once our master, he kind of joked. He said, "Fake it till you make it." So that works as well. So, yeah. And of course, scientists, as you might be aware of, are also saying that, like Dr. Bruce Lipton, he's talked a lot about the what does he call it? The biology of belief, and and before him, actually. Claude Bristol actually wrote a book called The Magic of Believing, so that was many years ago. So the belief system, I think itself is something spiritual, It's you're actually, I suppose, automatically putting yourself into that state of being with the higher power, I would say.
Yeah. I totally agree to that.
Yeah.
So
when you fly a plane, you have to believe that the pilot will take you to your destination. So
and that the plane can fly.
Yes, or whatever,
Yeah.
So we just got to believe in that. When we get ourselves vaccinated, we got to believe that it's going to happen, or whatever, Or when we eat something, or bite into an apple, we got to believe it'll keep us healthy.
Yeah. It's basically with everything. It's underlaying everything, the belief. Yeah. The deeply rooted.
Yeah. But then, I'm no professional and no expert. I'm just on the path, and I'm just talking about my.
I'm just interviewing you about your experiences. I'm not nailing you in some pseudo scientific whatever on the wall. So, as a last question, like, what is there a question I didn't ask and something you would like to add for to the topic or for other meditators? Is there something
I suppose for some people it might be, not, I mean, I wouldn't say that you didn't ask me, but but how does one get started? Or yeah, how does one look for a master? Where can one identify one? These are some
great, yes.
Yeah, because for some, it could be difficult in the West, I mean, now I live in Germany and I live in two cultures actually, so I can see the difference. And it depends on what kind of culture you've grown up with and grown up in. So for me, it was easy. And for some people, it does take time. They need some understanding. And I'm thankful for Yoga Vidya, because Yoga Vidya is a one-stop shop for these things. And, people who want guidance can certainly come here in Europe. And Sukadev has made it possible and affordable for everyone to experience yoga in its fullest form here, so that they can get exposure to it first, and then, the questions are also answered. And we have here the so-called spiritual apparato, advice on spiritual matters. And there are very qualified people here, experienced people here, including Sukadev, who can guide people here in the West in an appropriate manner. And I think I'm really grateful for that. Yeah.
So, but it's good that you say this, like, how did you meet your master, and how did you know that your master is your master?
Well, then that interview will be another one.
Can you just quickly, the gist of it?
Do we have time? I just have to see.
Yeah, I think you can squeeze it in, like in, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. Yes.
Well, that again takes me back to my Indian culture where I was born. We all grow up, especially in the Hindu families. I was born into a Hindu Brahmin family. So we all grow up with a so-called guru in the family, or we worship not only the deities like Lakshmi or Krishna or Saraswati, but also we do believe in samadhist gurus. Samadhist guru is somebody who's attained samadhi and not living anymore, right? So, and samadhist gurus are supposed to have a lot of power, and it's common in India to see people go to samadhist gurus for all kinds of problems, including health problems, marital problems, this and that, financial problems. And one way of finding your living guru is by praying to a samadhist guru, which is what I did quite naturally without knowing that this is one of the means. I heard that this is one of the means from my current living master, but when I did it, I didn't know it. It came straight from the heart. It came at a time when my mother died in my arms. So I just prayed, and on the flight back, my mother died in India, and then I was flying back to Germany, and on the flight, I met a passenger who was with the master, and I was still in a state of prayer when we had this conversation, and that's how the guru came into my life, literally on the flight, so to say. And,
it's a great
there's
image.
been no turning back. So everybody has such stories in India as to how they came to their master. I could have been with any master, but this was the master for me.
I love it because it really translates it into contemporary times. Like you met your master on the flight from India to Germany. This is
but the master wasn't on the flight. It was one of his disciples.
So you made contact with one of his disciples,
exactly,
and that sparked interest,
and we just got talking and so on. Exactly. I mean, there's more to it, but within the time, I'm kind of.
That's only when you heard.
That's but what I want to say, I would like to add, is that one of the events in India, the master was speaking, and I just wondered, I said to myself, I mean, the thought occurred to me, I wasted so many years of my life. I wish the master had come earlier into my life. And I had this feeling of deep regret. And as if in answer to my question, the master's next sentence was, while he was giving the discourse, don't ever think that you have come late into, or you're late on the path, because all of us have our karmic things to attend to and finish. And when the time is right, you're automatically led on to the path and to the right masters. So don't ever have this feeling of deep regret, he said. And I was so astonished. It was like, as if I had asked him and he was answering.
Personal answer.
Yeah, but that was, and so there's been no looking back ever since. So everything happens in its own time, and time, I suppose, in the spiritual field is not the way we look at time, so many years and so many minutes and seconds and so on.
So I still have a little curiosity about you. You heard the name of the master, you heard about the master, and then you probably researched him, or Like, what was the moment which sparked that you knew?
No, it was again a question of faith and surrender, because I had actually prayed to the Samadhist master that I'd been with for many, many years of my life, since my teenage. So for me, there was no question of doing a lot of research. It just felt right.
It was so to say, it was the prayer answered.
Yeah.
It was the answer.
That's what I said. Yes, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that's one of the ways of coming to a living guru. Your earlier question was, how do you find a guru? So one of the ways is to, you like if you ask Shivananda Swami for a living guru, you probably will, your prayer will be answered. Definitely will be answered, yes. I mean, it depends on the intensity of the wish as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That was really, I think it translates it into our contemporary times, because we think, back then, but now, and no, it's always now, like in a way, even if it's a little bit wiped off from our traditions, it's still there, it's still alive, and it probably always will be. So Sumangala, thank you so much for sharing this.
Not at all. I thank you
for your experiences. And where can people find you? Like you said, you teach yoga at Yoga Vidya, Bad Meinberg, Teutoburger Wald in Germany. Like, are you giving also meditation courses, or just yoga?
I just do one meditation session a week. Yeah, it's called Geführte Mudra Meditation. It's kind of an orientation into mudra meditation. That's all I'm doing now. But otherwise, I just give the usual yoga classes.
Yeah, and this is an online or an offline event?
It's offline. It's live. Yeah, it's in the yoga rooms with the participants who are in the room.
And could people watch it like online?
We have one online program every day in the morning and evening. That's from the streaming, live streaming is from Shivananda Sal. And I did it twice. I worked with Sukadev on a project, on a digital asana encyclopedia project, lexicon project, with 3,000 asanas, and some of them are from the old texts like Hathabhyasa Padati and Sri Tatvanidhi. So I created series called Yoga in Jungle, or Yoga in the Jungle.
Wow.
Because these asanas with, I have 40 out of 3,000, I picked out 40, which I could do myself. There are 40 asanas which have the names of the animals in the old texts, ancient texts.
And where will this be published?
So so this was done. So I did this twice in Shivananda Sal, where you have the live streaming, and it's on YouTube. It's called Yoga im Dschungel für die ganze Familie. Or
wonderful.
But it's in German, yes.
Yeah, it's in German.
Yeah, so
okay, but many Germans are watching.
And amuse yourself with my German accent.
Well, I think yogis are used to that. Yeah. So thank you very much for adding this. Yoga im Dschungel on YouTube, and you do, how many poses are you doing? All the 40?
No, I don't do this every day. It's on YouTube.
No, but there's a recording.
About 40, yes.
I definitely will go there.
Thank you. Yes, but the live is better, when something's being on camera, like now, you're kind of very conscious, and it's very odd to look at the camera and speak.
Yeah, but especially in COVID times, we all get used to this.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like a fast forward course in overcome your fears of being seen or exposed or whatever.
Yeah. So that's what meditation did to me as well. I sort of forget, it doesn't matter. What does it matter?
Yeah, releasing the attachment to the outcome. So Mangala, thank you so much.
Thank you too
for taking the time. I hope we'll see each other somewhere at Yoga Vidya in Bad Meinberg. And until then, be good, and may you have great meditations and a beautiful meditative life.
I wish you the same, Yashoda. Thank you for this interview, and thank you that you're doing so much.
Oops.